Hey everyone, Aladdin's Castle here. Welcome back to the channel. I'm going to do my best to talk over the background noise, so sorry if this becomes a little bit echoey or you hear some people in the background. But today I am back again with another movie series. I am bringing you guys a 1970s classic, Robin Hood. This is the story of robbing the rich and giving to the poor. If you guys haven't seen this movie or film, basically it involves Robin Hood and his loyal friend Little John, who robs Prince John and his minions of his riches. And Prince John gets kind of upset with that, so he puts a bounty on them throughout the film. And he gets really upset with that, so he also ends up tripling the taxes for the townspeople and also imprisoning those who can't pay. So pretty much corruption at its finest, which thankfully hasn't been happening here in the United States yet. But essentially Robin Hood and Little John pose like a jailbreak to help free the people. And then the King of England eventually came back, King Richard, and he returns to arrest all the criminals who are involved. And Robin Hood ends up marrying a character named Maid Marian. So yeah, we're going to start off with the deck profile. This is a Emerald Steel deck, which is pretty much in the meta actually. So there are a lot of cards in here that you could switch around that could be very meta relevant and make a whole deck that's themed across for Robin Hood. So let's start off with the 1-drops, which is none other than Robin Hood. That is the main character of the movie. Really no introduction. He is your hero. He shifts into the other big Robin Hood, which is really, really powerful. This is a semi-discard themed deck, so the other 1-drops that I run is 4 Cursed Merfolk. When this character is challenged, each opponent chooses and discards a card. So it's really annoying for them early in the game where they have to decide to keep a hand or not. It's really good against certain matchups like Ruby Amethyst. Decks that don't really run a whole new world or don't really draw a lot. Onto the 2-cost cards. We run 4 Flynn Rider. It's very similar to the Cursed Merfolk, where if one of his characters is challenged, the challenging player chooses and discards a card. So very similar, just has a 1 strength attached to it. Another great 2-cost that we play is for Ursula. Ursula is really good against those song decks, Amber Steel, any deck that really revolves around singing songs. When you play this character, chosen opponent reveals their hand and discards a song. Very, very powerful. It's a good play against, again, those certain matchups. Then I ran 1 Skippy. Skippy is a young rabbit who basically idolizes Robin Hood. He actually attends Prince John's archery tournament, which happens throughout the movie, and he accidentally strikes him with an arrow, which is pretty hilarious. And because of that, he was sent to jail. And then eventually Little John was able to save him and get him out during the prison break. But cute little character, doesn't really do much. He has Ward 2/2. So if you want something late game that sticks and you need some characters to just quest and stay on board, Skippy won't get removed. Another character that you got to include in this deck is Sir Hiss. He is one of the main antagonists of the film. He uses the power of hypnosis to manipulate people, and it's pretty much Prince John's right-hand snake, you could say. He also ends up being jailed towards the end once King Richard comes back. But he's great, 3/1, evasive, really there to challenge the Surfer Mini if the Ruby Amethyst decks are running it. And then I do run some songs. These 2 colors don't really draw too much. So Strike a Good Match is a way to filter your deck. Draw 2 cards, discard a card, gets rid of some of your uninkables. You could sing with it too after playing Ursula if you would like. Then I run some location cards. We go for Nottingham. This is Prince John's castle in the movie. And it's one of the main settings. You kind of tell the rich from the poor setup between the castle and how the country is and how it's laid out. But it works. It's kind of like a mini Pride Lands, you know. It has 6 willpower, so hard to get rid of. Okay, on to the 3 costs. We go with Prince John. So he is one of the main villains. Very annoying to deal with because his effect is just really strong. He has Ward, and his ability, I Sentence You. Whenever your opponent discards 1 or more cards, you may draw a card for each card discarded. So it's fitting his theme of just this really overpowered, rich character and taxing the poor and all that, trying to take advantage of them. That's really what you're doing. So discarding and drawing. So they lose something and you gain something. Well, look at that. So that is very thematic of what he is as a character. Next, I ran Lil Jon. Not to be confused with the rapper, which happens every single time I play this guy or even pull him in a pack. You just can't resist to say it. He is Robin Hood's loyal sidekick, and he loves to dress up in disguises. So you see him here as also a disguise, and he kind of tricks people here and there, tricks the bad guys, obviously. That's what they do. They're anti-heroes. And he's also a pretty skilled fighter, so you can kind of go toe-to-toe with a lot of characters. He is a 3-cost, 2/4 bodyguard, and then during your turn, this character gains evasive. So it can help, again, against like Surfer Minis and whatever evasive characters your opponent may run. Then I also run 2 Robin's Bow. So Robin's Bow is a item card that can deal damage to chosen damaged character or location. And then also whenever a character of yours named Robin Hood quests, you may ready this item. So it has a couple applications. It just could do ping damage if your opponent has like a SME and they end the turn and gets a damage without any captains. This Robin Bow is active, or you could challenge somebody, deal damage, and then exert this to deal more damage. And then if you have a Robin Hood in play, like say like your 1-drop or your shift target, you could quest with it, ready this item, and use it again. So a couple different ways to use this card, and it's a very kind of like tricky card. Then I also run a couple more songs. I run 3 Strength of the Raging Fire. Deal damage to chosen character equal to the number of characters you have in play. You do have a decent amount. There are some characters that you need to get rid of that are like 3 willpower. So Strength of Raging Fire is one of those few consistent ways while not really losing too much of your board presence by just singing. Next are your 4 drops. I run 3 Daisy Duck. She fits the theme of the hand discard element. Her ability is Thwart. Whenever this character quests, each opponent chooses discards a card. And then this happens, this triggers Prince John, where since they're discarding a card, you get to draw a card out of it. So she is fueling that whole discard, steal from the rich, draw cards out of it, or steal from the poor, I should say, and draw out of it. And then next, for the other 4 costs, is 3 Friar Truck. He is like a kind-hearted priest, basically. I think he's a badger, honey badger, or just badger. He's pretty close friends with Robin Hood and Lil Jon, and he kind of helps a lot of the characters in the movie, like Skippy and all of them. So he's a good guy. And 2/4, quest for 2. Very solid. When you play this character, the player or players with the most cards in their hand chooses and discards a card. There is a ruling going around. I'm not sure if they clarified it. But when you play this card and the player or players with the most cards in their hand chooses and discards, if you guys both have the same amount of cards, I think you both discard. Because I don't think there's a definition on what most cards means in this game. So I don't know if that's like equal to or more, or if it's an exact amount. So if somebody knows the ruling for that, if you're a judge or if your interpretation, please let me know in the comments, because I think players with the most cards in their hand, if you guys both have the same amount of cards, you both discard. So who knows? But I don't know if there's an official ruling for that. Next, I ran 1 Sheriff of Nottingham. So he is the guy who is always trying to capture and imprison Robin Hood. He is, like you said, he's a corrupt official. He did end up getting stripped off his title after, King Richards comes back. And yeah, he's just an evil guy. 2/4, quest for 1. Whenever you discard a card, you may deal 1 damage to chosen opposing character. They have a few cards that discard cards, like the songs and everything, or if you're running against a mirror match and you have to discard a card too, you could deal 1 damage, but he's not, anything crazy. There is the Beast OTK deck that runs this and the Bayou and 6-drop Beast, but other than that, it's not worth running the kind of the OTK package. Moving along, you are running a steel deck. It has to be a little bit more competitive, so you run 4 Beast Tragic Hero. He's one of your draw engines of the game. 3/5 quest for 2. At the start of your turn, if this character has no damage, you draw a card. Otherwise, he gets +4 strength this turn. So he's really good at drawing extra cards. Or if he's damaged, he becomes a 7 strength character that could take out any character pretty much, or even location. So very strong. Also expensive. If you could afford it, you could run it. And then you have the big Robin Hood, Champion of Sherwood. Such an amazing card. Shift for 3, so it goes over your 1-drop. 3/6, quest for 2. He has 2 abilities during your turn. When this character banishes another character in a challenge, you gain 2 lore. And his second ability, when this character is banished in a challenge, you may draw a card. So he definitely wants to be challenging in that kind of phase. And he gets benefits just from challenging or being challenged, which is nice. So he's like a value card. You could, gain 2 lore out of it, or even drawing cards if he's challenged. So very powerful card. There's a reason why he is a main character, and he's like a $40 legendary. Then I also run 2 Lucifers. Lucifer fits into the hand discard element. Again, I know it's really difficult to go against cards like this that just discards 2, but when you play this character, each opponent chooses and discards either 2 cards or 1 action card. So it's either going to be 2 or 1, and then you could trigger off Prince John. You could draw 2 if they discard 2, and it just quests for 2. So it's just a solid card, and it's a good alternative option if you don't have enough money to afford the beasts and all that. Then I run 3 of Robin Hood Daydreamer. He is a great finisher. Probably one of the best artworks in the game. If you could see, there's so much little detail in there. I know art is subjective, but this card is like amazing. Beautiful art. 4/5, quest for 4. He's a vanilla card, but if your opponent doesn't have any answers to this, like Alarm King Zeus, or like a hard removal, like Tremaine or something, or Maleficent, he's just going to quest for 4. So sometimes he could just steal games, just like he steals from the rich. And then to wrap it all off, 3 Tinkerbells. She is just a way to deal with mirror matches with like Emerald, or like the low drops, or she could 2-for-1 somebody just by challenging. Everybody knows who Tinkerbell is by this point. And there you go. That is the deck. There's not really too many budget options, because then you're really straying away from the whole Robin Hood theme. I mean, I guess you could run this as a maximum copy if you don't have your Sherwoods, but Sherwood just makes everything so much smoother. You could also run the 2-drop Robin Hood if you want to keep it Robin Hood themed, that exerts to deal 1 damage, but without this card, it kind of makes it a lot lower in the tier category. And of course, Beast is really difficult. You could always replace Beast with like Donald Duck at the 4-drop. That could it's very similar to this Daisy Duck, but you draw an extra card at the start of the turn, so both characters. But other than that, besides those 2 cards, it's pretty budget friendly. So besides the Beast and the Robin Hood, but that'll make it a little bit more competitive. So hope you guys like it. That is the deck. We'll see you guys in the next movie series.